Welcome to Local Edition on Time Warner Cable. I'm Steve Swatt with the Sacramento Report. In the next few minutes, we're going to talk about California's new Death with Dignity law. My guest is Susan Eggman, a member of the State Assembly and one of the primary authors of that new law. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for inviting me, Steve.
So I guess you ought to just tell our viewers a little bit what it's all about. I mean, it takes effect, goes into effect really on June 9th.
June 9th.
And then individuals who are terminal and are dying can ask their doctors for lethal prescriptions to end their life. Right?
That's a good summary. So the law is modeled mostly after Oregon, where I was lucky enough to be doing my doctorate in education in social work and social work research in 1997 when that law went into effect.
Right.
And previous to that, I had been a hospice social worker, so I had sat with a lot of people as they died.
So this issue is close to you.
It is very close and dear to me. And a lot of people, not everybody, would say, I wish there were different options. I wish I, had known more choices I had. So when I was in Oregon and then it came into effect, it really interested me in the topic of one more choice that people have in their array of healthcare options at the end of life. I ended up doing my dissertation on end-of-life topic, and then when I was a professor at Sac State, taught on it a lot. And also have personally cared for 5 very close family members as they have traversed the end of their life. So this is always something I was very interested in, but didn't think the time was going to be right for a long time. But when Brittany Maynard made national headlines and moved to Oregon and able to use that, there was a new sense of possibilities. So Senators Wolk and Monning, who were joint authors on this bill with me, said, we think this is the time. So I had a small bill the session before that was one of the most difficult bills at the end of the day to get out of the House. And it simply said, previously, if somebody had a terminal diagnosis from which no cure is expected, and they're going along their treatment trail, and if they would ask a physician, is there anything else I can do? Then the physician would have to say, oh yes, you can do hospice, you can do nothing, you can do palliative care. But the patient would have to ask the physician. So the legislation I did simply flipped that around and said, if somebody has a terminal diagnosis from which no cure is expected, that either at time of diagnosis or at a follow-up, you have to inform them they have the right to know what all their options are.
Right.
Very simple bill.
Yeah.
The most difficult bill to get out of the House.
You would think it was simple.
You would think it was simple. The emotion, death is a very personal thing. And so every legislator had a story to tell about their own experience and why people shouldn't know what their options are. And anyway, we ended up passing the bill. So I was fresh from that history when Senators Wolk and Monning said, we think now is the time to do the end-of-life bill. Like, oh. So anyway, but we gave it a shot and ended up we're successful.
And it was Brittany's story, and as relayed by her husband, that really got rid of the logjam, don't you think?
Well, and her mother. Her mother, her stepfather, and then there were other activists who have since died. Christy O'Donnell, Jennifer Glass, a lot of folks who were terminally ill at the time and would come and talk about.
Have you heard from folks who say, thank you very much, I'm terminally ill, I'm going to use this? I
have heard, I can't tell you the amount of people who write me letters, who call and say thank you. And I think, for me as a hospice social worker, that the bill helped a lot of people have conversations. I mean, it was one of the bills that really, a lot of the stuff we do is very esoteric, but this trickled down into people's homes. People were like, well, what do you want? The majority of the people who use the bill in Oregon are in hospice. So I'm hoping that it increases hospice rates and just helps us all die in more ways that we feel comfortable with.
All right. Well, Susan Eggman, member of the Assembly from Stockton, thanks for coming by and talking about this new law.
Steve.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thanks to our viewers for watching Local Edition on Time Warner Cable. A reminder, you can see this and other interviews on YouTube, on My Government on Demand, also the California channel.